Welcome to Hearing What Matters, a podcast for Australians looking to know more about their hearing health, hearing loss and hearing aids. My name is V. Tran, host of your podcast. I do work for Active Audiology, an independent clinic in Melbourne, and my purpose with this podcast is to deliver information that is controversial, independent, honest, for those looking to improve their hearing health knowledge and make informed decisions. Welcome everyone to Hearing What Matters. We have Cris Ivanidis with us today. Hi Cris.
Hi V.
Cris, we all want to hear better. We want to hear conversations more clearly, but we don't want to hear background noise. Why is that such a problem?
Well, it's a huge problem for everyone, but especially for those who have a hearing loss, and potentially for those that wear hearing aids. Hearing is important for social interaction. So when you are in those environments, you want to be confident, feel confident that you can participate and follow the conversation. And that's something that people lose, is their confidence to participate in group discussions where there's background noise because they're having difficulties hearing.
Look, I know people who will not go to parties or group gatherings because there's background noise. That's enough of an issue to actually stop them from socialising.
Oh, look, most definitely. It's something that's a reason that we hear all the time. And it's almost a sign of the beginning of the end in a way.
Right.
Meaning that they retract from these environments and spiral down to becoming isolated and withdrawing from.
And why is that? Why is it that it's so such a deterrent? Is it a mental neural issue for the person? And is that different from someone with normal hearing versus someone with a hearing loss?
Quite simply, it just gets hard. You need to concentrate. You need to focus a lot more. And a bit of guesswork, and that's tiring. It is exhausting.
It is.
Often speaking to individuals who experience those difficulties, the one thing that they report is just that they're exhausted by the end of it, and they come to make a decision. Is it worth it? Is it worth getting tired? Is it worth the frustration? Is it worth feeling almost... People say that, you might be rude, that you're ignoring them, and they feel silly because they're afraid of responding incorrectly. So in their mind, they're playing through all these emotions and then realise, well, it's just easier that I don't attend. I don't go to the party.
And is this even worse for someone with a hearing loss?
Oh, absolutely. Hearing loss amplifies this. And right. I guess it comes back to the point. And it's for someone with a hearing loss, it's easy for them to lay blame on something that I can't hear because it's my hearing loss. Or, well, I shouldn't go because I'm having difficulty hearing. But something that people fail to recognise is even individuals who might have normal hearing, or that is not a measurable hearing loss, still have difficulties. We'll still ask for repetition. We'll still guess a lot of the time and lip read. However, they've got nothing to blame. So they just accept it and move on. And if they don't hear anything, they don't hear all the words or miss part of the words, well, that's okay.
So then why is background noise a challenge even when you're wearing hearing aids?
It's a significant challenge because it's a very difficult environment. So there's the signal, which is the speech. You're focused and you're interested in hearing the person's voice, but then you've got all this other stuff that's going on around you, which is not of interest to you. Still important, but not of interest to be able to help you communicate with the person. And with a hearing loss, what you're hearing is distorted in a way because you're only hearing part of the information. And you're missing out on a lot of the key information because it's beyond your range of hearing. And that's where hearing aids come in, where they restore that part that you're missing out on, But in those complex environments where there's background noise, the benefit of the hearing aid is it can modify the signal, so it can clean it up to some degree to help you or the hearing aid wearer hear more of the voice and less of the noise.
So could you perhaps take me through a normal example? I am going out to dinner with a few friends at a reasonably busy restaurant. You know, Friday night, summer night, there's people everywhere and there's conversations at other tables, there's waiters coming in, plates getting washed or stacked, and I've got a hearing aid on. Is that going to be okay for me to still hear conversation in front of me? Like, what am I experiencing, and why is it that I hear so many people say that's uncomfortable in situations? Like, how can I help it, make it better?
What you've described there is a really challenging environment for anyone, let alone someone with a hearing loss and that wears hearing aids. Now, in order to try and get a good result, there's a couple of things to consider. Probably the simplest thing, and something that anyone can do with or without a hearing loss or hearing aid, is the positioning. So to seat yourself in the most favourable position, and that would be ideally to have the greatest noise source coming from behind you. So if you can select a table, choose a table that's away from all of the noise source, away from the kitchen, away from a thoroughfare of waiters coming through, away from traffic, doors, or if there's a table adjacent with a loud conversation, to try and sit away from that. So firstly is positioning is important. Try and choose the quietest spot. Secondly, it's also positioning yourself so that the noise source is coming from behind you. Mm-hmm. Our ears act as a funnel. So they provide some directionality and also help to assist the focus of sound. So you want to have the noise source coming from behind you, mm-hmm. and then also facing the position that you're interested in most listening to, so the person talking.
Right. So then how has hearing aid technology evolved over the years or the time that you've been practicing for to deal with this problem?
Well, if you employed those two simple points that I just discussed, and then add hearing aids to that, it can significantly improve your ability to hear. So hearing aids have developed dramatically over time, particularly in the short period of time. And quite simply that they can recognise between noise and identify speech. And they can separate those two signals. Some do it moderately well, but some do it quite effectively. And the important thing to remember is hearing aids can do this, but you don't want to reduce too much of the noise, because then it becomes a very artificial environment. So you want to still be in touch and with what's going on around you, but not so that it's intrusive and affects how well you can hear the person in front of you. Mm-hmm. So hearing aids can do that quite well, and some of them can provide the perfect balance to reduce the noise, but still hear that there's music playing in the background, but not interfere with the conversation that's happening in front or next of you. And they do a number of things. They can, as I just mentioned, isolate the noise. They can alter their direction or focus towards the speech, because remember, they can identify between the two. They can know which direction you're facing and looking by employing a number of advanced technologies. They use sensors to detect the direction that you're looking, any motion, whether you're moving forwards, backwards, up and down.
Wow.
So, and there's artificial intelligence is another thing that has been in hearing aids for quite some time, but it's just become a lot more advanced now. And the benefit of artificial intelligence is to refine and identify the difference between noise and speech, and ultimately just provide a better speech outcome.
What is not adding up to me, and I appreciate what you're saying, is that despite all these advances in background noise, I still hear so many people saying that they cannot handle using their hearing aids at restaurants. So clearly not all hearing aids have this technology.
That's exactly right. So the assumption that, well, if I wear a hearing aid, therefore I should
Hear better. That's
hear
right.
better in those
Yes.
environments, is not entirely true, because there's quite a significant difference in the hearing aid technology itself, whether it can or cannot cope and manage those environments. So there's quite a significant difference. There are hearing aids that work well in quiet environments and are suited for those individuals that are in a quiet environment most of the time. That's what's important to them. But for someone whose main goals and purpose is to be able to hear conversation in the restaurant, for example, a busy restaurant, you're not going to achieve that with a device that doesn't have the features or the technology to deal with those environments. You need
Right.
something that's more advanced.
So then for someone looking to get a hearing aid, what type of hearing aid should they choose? If there's someone who is out and about a bit, has traffic noises and has to obviously be aware of the surroundings, or goes out for dinners, not someone who's going to nightclubs or out every night. Obviously this is a senior population, but what should they be looking for? What type of hearing aids? What are the questions? Because you've said not all aids have this functionality or this feature, but how do they go about choosing?
What's important is to really understand what the individual's goals are, where they want to hear, what's important for them. And that's the job of the audiologist, to ask those questions and really understand their goals, the individual's goals. Once you know that, then it's relatively easy to select a device that has the technology that suits them for those goals. When I say relatively easily, again, it's the job of the audiologist to have a deep understanding of all the products that are available and to choose one that can cope in those situations. Because not all, as I've said, are equal, but it's about finding the right technology to match what the person's goals are, listening goals.
Right. So things like Bluetooth or other things other than hearing aids, are they an option for people who want to hear better but not quite ready for a hearing aid?
Most definitely. Now that Bluetooth has been introduced into hearing aids, for example, there are other devices, and something as simple as your smartphone that can be used as an accessory to help you hear better in noise. So what I'm referring to here, you can connect your smartphone via Bluetooth to your hearing aids, and you can utilize the technology, the microphone that's in the smartphone.
Oh, wow.
To be handed over to someone, and it's almost like they're speaking into a microphone, so that their voice is sent directly to your hearing aids.
Right.
Or it can be placed...
Oh, there'd be a lot of wives who'd want that for their husbands.
Absolutely, and it works quite well. So, and this is something that's available in, these days, pretty much every type of device.
So I can have a hearing aid that I can wear at home comfortably watching TV, or go and have Sunday barbecue at my daughter or son's house, or go out to a function.
Definitely, there's one device that could do all of those.
Right, okay. I mean, what's the most common feedback that you've had from people who've worn hearing aids and then changed or switched to newer hearing aids that can cope with better background noise? I guess you don't know until you try, right?
That's exactly right. And it's interesting because individuals who are experienced, who have gone through the pathway of trying hearing aids, have a better understanding as to what the limitations are. And it's those that may have had the incorrect device provided to them, because it hasn't matched up with what their listening goals are.
Right.
So they're expecting to hear in restaurants, but the device that they've been provided or have been wearing, it doesn't have the capability of doing that. Now, when they try something that is designed to function and perform better in those situations, it is literally life-changing for them, because now they can follow the conversation with a lot more confidence. It's clearer, it's easier to hear the conversation, because it's also more comfortable to be in those environments because of the advanced noise management features that they use. And consequently, they're happier, they're interacting more, and it's made a significant change, not only for their hearing, but just generally for their whole life.
So if I'm seeing my audiologist, what do I need to tell him or her to get the right hearing aid? You said that this person may have been incorrectly fit. I'm wanting to avoid that. What do I need to tell you?
You need to be very clear with what's important for you. So provide specific examples, specific situations, environments that you want to improve your hearing in. Rather than I just want to be able to hear conversation. But where do you want to hear conversation?
Right.
Think about if circumstances or environment situations where you may be having difficulties and it's affecting your life. It's causing you to withdraw. Now, if you could change that, if you could hear better, what would the outcome be? Would you attend those meetings more often? Would you have the confidence to go to your weekly lunch gathering with your friends? The more specific you are and the more you understand and have an understanding of what's important for you, then it's easier and more appropriate to match the correct device that will work better in those situations for you.
That's profound. I hope that has given everybody a way to approach hearing aid selection that's valuable to them. And it sounds like, Cris, it's really knowing or reflecting your life and your needs and how much more you want to get out of your life when it comes to hearing better and what aid you need for that, right?
Oh, look, definitely. That's what it's about, because hearing loss, okay, you can't hear. You might be able to hear the car coming into the driveway, but what's the point of that? It's about using your hearing for communication and conversation, and that's what we use our hearing for, is to be able to interact with people.
Absolutely. Cris, thank you again. That was very valuable. We hope to see you next time.
Look forward to it again, B. Thanks.